Welcome to episode 98 of Sketching Up. I say it every time, but we're that much closer to the century mark. I can't wait for the century mark because we have some really fun stuff we're going to do. It's going to be so much fun. But in this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about the Toy Story game we talked about last time. And we're going to talk about animation, the strike, I should say. And then we're going to talk about some animation. Is it in a slump? What do we think the problems are with that going on there? Like on our opinions, all that fun stuff, the stuff you come to see. But before we do any of that, make sure you follow us on Instagram, Sketching Up Podcast, where we have updates, we have clips, we have all that good stuff. You can also follow Schnabel Studios on anywhere you get your social media. That's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. YouTube's the most important one because if you go to YouTube, you can see clips from this. You can see clips from Mad Props. You can see clips from Southern Hospitality, Off Stage. Everything under Schnabel Studios will go to that YouTube page. So definitely go there. Subscribe to there. You'll get it right to your feed when you're done. So definitely go check that out. That's Schnabel Studios on YouTube or wherever you get your social media. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts. So go check that out. Check out Mad Props. I just had Mike Kinch on. He is Wicked Hot Golf on Instagram. He was telling us about how he started his page, why golf means so much to him. He's a former college baseball player, and he switched over. So go check that out. All right, enough of that. Let's get rolling and let's get started. Roll those credits. Sketching Up. But this is episode 98 of Sketching Up. Great episode coming on. Chris, Matt, Kyle, all here. Guys, how are you doing? Matt, how we doing? You got your new place? New background?
Guys, I moved. I moved in with the girlfriend. We're in a bigger space now. Me and my dog have moved officially in. Yeah, and it's a bigger space. We are in Montclair, New Jersey.
What's your actual address? Give out the full address.
Yeah, why not? Hey, I want fan mail, okay? Yeah. I don't know about you.
I'm sure that's what you'll get.
If we get to the point, if we're at the point where I get a stalker, we've made it.
That's
guys.
true. That is true. If somebody is knocking on your door, something's going right here.
Yes. So, but Montclair's awesome. To our fans out there who don't know, Montclair holds the Montclair Film Festival. I think I've talked a little bit about it on the pod. It's starting October 20th. Me and my girlfriend today just went to the opening, kind of the preview to it. We have who's coming the first night of the Montclair Film Festival. We will have Nicolas Cage in the building for his new movie that's coming out.
Ooh.
If none of you guys are jealous, you should, because I love that man and I cannot wait. Like last year we had Brendan Fraser come, we had Daniel Craig. This year we got Martin Scorsese.
Ooh.
We got that Scorsese coming in, and we have Nicolas Cage coming, and I am so excited. I will be doing videos and maybe do a little live stream on Instagram when I'm going in
Sketching Up
to
podcast.
some of these movies.
Know what I'm saying?
Sketching Up. Just go follow, because I may go in, kind of give you a rundown of the movie I'm going to see, and then after give you my.
He's gonna do guerrilla interviews. He's just gonna be on live and pop up. Hey, Scorsese.
Yeah, I'll be like, Nick, scream at me, yell at me, do it, please.
It's for my following. Do it, please.
It's for the following. Please do it. But yeah, I am super excited for it, and we do actually have John Batiste, who was the singer and the composer and the guy who was on the Stephen Colbert Show. He actually has a movie premiering.
Wow!
And me and my girlfriend are going to a very small invite. We got invited because we were talking with Stephen Colbert's wife, and we got invited to go to just a little small gathering right before the movie. So I'm going to get to meet him, and I'm going to try to get us a shout out from John Batiste.
Let's do it.
Which would be so cool, because he is an amazing musician, composer. He is just so good, and I'm excited to see his movie about his life during the pandemic. It's actually about how he started to write new music and compose a little more during the pandemic when everything was shut down, and I'm excited to see that. So that's my life.
I do hope that's good, because the only good Now, correct me if I'm wrong, please. The only good thing I saw about the pandemic to come out of the pandemic was Inside. Like Bo Burnham's
Mm.
Inside. That was like
I think that, and I liked John Krasinski's like Facebook. Did you
I don't
guys
know
see
if I
that
saw
his
that.
like Facebook shows? And it was like what's happening in the world,
Oh, no,
like
no, no,
good
no,
things
no. I
happening in
meant
the
I
world.
meant like I guess that you're right. Inside happened during COVID, right? It came out like 2021.
Yeah,
I meant like things
yeah.
that were about COVID, like movies that were about because they're coming.
Oh
You know
yes,
they're coming. And
yeah,
I guess you're right.
yeah.
That's technically happened during COVID and not about COVID, but it was
Sorry,
about it.
I thought you were talking about like things that
No,
happened
there were
during
great things
COVID.
that happened. Do you
No.
guys remember that they did like the Animal Crossing talk show on New Horizons? It was
Oh
crazy.
my
Like
god, that was
I wish I
amazing.
had that idea. Like, just take the podcast I already had
That's
and
a
made it Animal
million
Crossing, and
$1 million idea right
yeah.
there.
But
That's
the
amazing.
way you do it is you have friends in the industry and you invite them on. Like
Yep,
that's what they did. They're
yep.
like, oh yeah, we're already playing and you're famous, so why don't you just come on and we'll do a talk show and it'll get a bunch. I wonder where that's at now. I wonder where the Animal
Yeah,
Crossing interview podcast thing is at now because there's no way they're still doing
yeah.
it.
I don't. No, I
It's
don't think so.
past, past its
Yeah,
prime.
but oh, there is something cool going on. It's free to go to if any of our listeners are in New Jersey and North Jersey area. One of the during the week of the Montclair Film Festival, they have bands coming in to Pineapple Express, which is a bar, and they're going to play. They're going to do covers of famous songs that are in from famous movies.
That's awesome.
So think about like all the '80s movies you love, in those the like Breakfast
Anything
Club
done by
and
John
Pretty in Pink.
Williams.
Yeah, anything done by John Williams. They'll probably throw in Tarzan,
Phil Collins,
and
baby.
Phil Collins just went off on that. So they're going to do that, and it's a whole night of just them playing some great iconic movie songs that were in them. So that's really cool. If any of our listeners are from North Jersey, definitely check that out. Look it up. It's all on the Montclair Film website. It's montclairfilm.org, and it has everything you need to know.
Did you know that I'm going to lose it, Phil Collins? So that the Tarzan movie, they sold the rights to Tarzan because in what they call that? Did they call that the Golden Age or the Renaissance? The Renaissance of Disney. That's with
That
The
was a
Lion
Renaissance,
King,
yeah.
The Little Mermaid.
Lion
That
King,
was
yeah.
the only one of the Renaissance that didn't have an original song by the main characters. And it was considered
Yep.
unsuccessful and they sold it. And then you had the live action that wasn't done by Disney of Tarzan, but that
Yeah.
was the first one, I think, maybe of all
Wow.
Disney that didn't have an original
Probably,
song
yeah.
by the main characters. There was one original song,
Character,
and it was
yeah.
when they are in that village and the villagers are all singing. And it's not really a
Yeah.
song, it's just
Yeah.
kind of like a move along thing, but that has no
Hmm.
original music by any main character. It's the only, I don't know if it's the only one, but I remember in the Renaissance, at least, it was the only one that didn't have it.
Hmm.
Isn't that crazy?
I love the memes from that. Is where it's just like Disney, Phil, we only need something that will play really nicely with a guy who's in the jungle, who's raised, and he goes, "All right, bet." And then there's like a piano on fire. he's,
He
he's
does
playing
crush it.
the
He
song.
crushes it. He
Yeah, he
absolutely
crushed
crushes it.
that. That album is
I'll
amazing.
be
Yeah.
honest here. Okay. That album is the reason why I started listening to Phil Collins. Like, I'll be honest. Like,
I don't think that's that much of a hot take at our age group.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, that's fair.
I guess it's not a hot take, especially like knowing that my mom's from Newark and all of that. So of course she probably wouldn't listen to no Phil Collins being from Newark. But yeah, like bro, I remember watching that show. I mean, not show, that movie, and just hearing that soundtrack in the back. I was like, yo, this is different than what Disney normally gives you. And so like my mom looked it up and she was like, oh yeah, it's some white dude named Phil Collins. I ain't never heard of him.
Well,
man, what?
that's hilarious because Phil Collins was very famous at that point. very famous. There's a reason they asked him to do it. He was in, I think Genesis was in the late 80s when he left or something like that. So I mean, he's obviously done other stuff. I mean, In the Air Tonight is still one of the biggest songs out there today.
So do you know where In the Air Tonight premiered?
No.
Where it premiered
where it was first ever. Yeah, where it was first ever played.
on a radio station in
No,
Syracuse, New
it
York.
wasn't. It was not played on the radio, or it wasn't released on CD or anything at that point. The first time In the Air Tonight came out was the first episode of Miami Vice called Smuggler's Blues.
You know what?
Know that.
That was backhead knowledge for me right there. I knew that at some point in my
Yep.
life because that sounds very familiar. What do you think of that
Yep,
term,
it
by
was
the way?
Smuggler's
Back of the
Blues.
head knowledge. Is that something
like
that
I
can
like
stick?
that. I like
I
that.
like that.
Coin that. Coin that. Coin that. Coin that. You've coined that. It's yours. Schnabel just started that. Yep, and we're putting that as a hashtag in our Instagram.
Yeah, every hashtag. Back of the head knowledge.
Back of the head knowledge. Love it.
When I said, I was like,
But
do you think
yeah,
it has legs? Do you think it have legs? Do you think
It's-
people will catch on to that?
it started playing when Rockets and Tubbs, the two main characters, the two detectives from Miami Vice, were riding in the white Ferrari, the right, and it comes, and then once they pull in to where like the drug lords are, and they just start firing, that's when the drums go off.
Yeah.
And that's how they got that going, and that's why it just became so popular at that time. They're like, holy! It just made the whole experience like mind blowing because it was just on TV.
Yeah.
And people are like, "What?" My dad talks about that all the time because he loves Miami Vice, and he was like, when that song came on, I think everybody around me was talking about that song, and they had no idea who wrote it and sang it, and they were and Phil
Was
Collins came
that
out.
episode that was in the 90s, and they didn't know it was Phil Collins?
No.
It was the 80s.
No,
Had to be the
it was
80s, right?
80s.
Yeah.
My mom
Okay.
used to
Okay, that
watch
makes
Miami
sense.
Early 80s.
I thought.
Miami Vice
Sorry, I thought in the
was
beginning of the
early
story you
80s.
said it was in the 90s. I was like, it was the 90s, and they didn't know who Phil Collins was. It was Genesis. And went solo.
I didn't know who Phil Collins was.
No.
in the early
I know.
90s, early 2000s.
I thought he said
1984 is when that episode.
Yeah. That makes so much more sense. But I thought you in your story said it was in the 90s. That's why I was like, what? No one knew who he was. That's crazy.
No.
So Phil
That
Collins,
song
baby.
was super popular at that time.
Yeah, well, he was too
Yeah.
because I think, like I said, I think he left Genesis in the late '80s. Now let's see if we could test guys' knowledge. Kyle, you know a lot about music. Matt, you're very good with pop culture and stuff like that. What was the band that very, very successfully, rock band that very successfully covered In the Air Tonight? It was in mid 2000s. I don't think it was a very popular band. I don't remember though.
Oh,
Are you gonna look it up? Yeah, I don't have a
No,
guess.
it had all of like these other rock singers and guitarists and drummers come together for one band, and they covered it.
It might be. I just remember it being very
Yeah,
successful in
I
the
have that on
2000s.
oh my god, I'm gonna have to.
All right, yeah, look it
I
up.
have
That's fine.
it
If you don't
on my-
know it, we don't need to take
All right,
20
all right.
minutes trying to figure out who's saying it. I just remember there was a
we don't.
really popular. For some reason, I wanted to say it was Avenged Centerfold or something like that, but I don't know if that was it. And they're
It was non-point,
non-points. See, I was nowhere close.
and they are. They have like I think I'm not too crazy with their band. Like I don't know who, but I know that they have some famous singers, guitarists, drummers in that, like from Black Sabbath and all these other rock bands.
Oh, that's like
came together for that.
Oh my
that
god,
like
is that the
that,
same band that sang Velvet? No, right?
No,
This
I
Velvet
don't
was the
think
one that
so.
had Slash in them.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about?
But it wasn't that. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It wasn't that though.
Velvet.
But yeah, I think
No, Velvet Revolver was the name of the band, and they had the song "Slither"
Yeah.
that everybody knows.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the one I was thinking of. What was the one you said?
it's-
9 point or
Yeah,
points?
it's non-point.
Non-point, like no.
It's this one, right?
Yeah. This is exactly it. That is exactly it.
This one's dope.
Yeah, non-point. Let's see if I could see really quickly. No, it doesn't say anything about bands coming together. But yeah, that is the one I was thinking of. Yeah, Non-Point.
I don't think it was like intentional for them to come together, I don't think their band had them in there permanently. I think for like
No,
a couple
it was-
songs, like the covers they did, they came in and did it, and then they weren't part of the actual band.
That was a lot of bands in like the early 2000s. If you really think about it, like
Yeah,
they were all
just
doing that.
grab people to come in to do a couple songs,
Or
and then they would
creating a
go,
band
yeah.
that had like 5 songs and then just didn't do any more after that. Like the who's the one that does Hunger Strike with you know what I'm talking about? It's Chris Connell and
Oh my god,
yeah, but it's the same thing. They didn't stick
that
together
came
as
from
a
the
band.
that was back in the brain knowledge
For you. Boom.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it. It's a thing.
that was back in the brain knowledge right
It's a
there.
thing. Well,
It's a thing now. It's a thing.
It's a thing. I'm happy. I'm happy we can create
It's a
something.
thing.
Didn't New
We
Kids
just
on the
did.
Block do something similar where they combined with another band or whatever? Or
I
another
wouldn't be
group?
surprised. All those 90s, like all those ones did comedy. They were all doing it in the late 90s, early 2000s because it was the same thing. Like if we go on another podcast promoting our podcast, like you do it to promote yourself, you know? So it's not something new. I mean, dude, Run DMC and Aerosmith did a song together.
Well,
That's exactly what it was. It was to get people into new audiences. So it's just the same thing, basically.
yeah, I'm trying to see if they did anything. I think they did. They did something with Salt and Pepper.
Yeah,
Salt
like
and
they,
Pepper. Is that
I always say it like that because that's the John Mulaney joke from SNL, and there was some like some host that they had, and he would be like, and now we have Salt and Pepper. It was like, okay, Pepper is obviously the bigger person in this duo.
I don't mean to continuously change the subject. And we can come back, Kyle, if you remember what the band or whatever,
No,
the
you can keep
combination. Dude, next year SNL turns 50. It has a 50-year anniversary next year.
Are you serious?
Really?
Yeah. 50 years. I heard Seth Meyers talking about it the other day.
Can I be completely honest?
You didn't know?
I thought it would. No, I thought it was a lot older.
Oh, well, I mean, it started in what, the 70s? It makes sense. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
no,
The
it makes
reason it's crazy
sense,
to me
yeah,
is because I
but-
felt like the 40th was like 2 years ago. It's 10 years ago? I don't even
Oh,
remember
that's
that.
right. Yeah, when they did all those,
Yeah.
everybody came back and
Yeah.
they did all that. Yeah,
Like, it was like
that felt
2
like
years
that was
ago.
like 2 years ago. Yeah.
10 years ago.
Well, when we're talking about like ages of things, like I was amazed. And I'm out of this podcast. I'm the huge hockey guy.
Yeah.
We've talked about it. It's crazy.
Wearing the hockey
that this
shirt
is
right
the
now.
Boston Bruins. Yeah, Seattle Kraken, baby. Woo. It's crazy that the Boston Bruins, this is their 100th year playing.
Yeah.
It makes sense, but it is absolutely insane to think about that they've been playing for 100 years. Team's been
It makes sense as in, like, if there was a team, I would imagine it would be them because they're one of the original 8, right?
So they were
Or were they right
back
after?
to the head knowledge. They were original 6.
Six.
And
That's right, 6.
They were the first U.S. team established in the NHL.
Yeah, because
Before Detroit, before Chicago,
or New York.
before those, before New York, they were the first team established.
Because there's all Canadian teams at first, right? It was like
Well, there wasn't an NHL before that.
yeah, but
Once Boston came in, NHL started.
see, I should just get credit for knowing there was an original something. I got the number wrong.
I will.
but
I give you.
I think I get credit for knowing there was
It
something.
it was-
And I do know the Canadian
Well,
teams
it
were
was-
first because I went to the
Yeah,
Canada
and-
Hall of Fame in Toronto. That's the only reason I know the Canadian teams went first.
You mean the Hockey Hall of Fame?
What did I just say? The Canadian
The
Hall of
Canadian
Fame? Maybe they have
Hall
both.
of
I don't know. It's a combination. I have no idea. Yeah, I went to the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto, and it was dope. It was very interactive. I liked it a lot.
Oh yeah,
Learned a couple
that's a
things.
great. Anybody who goes to Toronto, you need to stop in there. It's like almost going through the Natural History Museum in New York City because it's so interactive
It
and
is
you just
very
can go see
interactive.
everything.
It is very,
Yeah,
very
you can
interactive.
just have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like it's not just walk around and look at things. There's so much stuff to do there.
Yeah.
And I don't know when you went, and the last time I went was like probably 9-10 years ago. It is even more because I follow them on Instagram. There's so much to do there now, and I want to go back.
I would say I went there in 2017 or 2018, somewhere around there. I went with my friend Ben. We went to a Blue Jays game and we went to the Hockey Hall of Fame.
That's exactly what I did 10 years ago with my dad. We went to a Blue Jays Yankees game, and then we went to the Hall of Fame.
Toronto's a great city, but in the middle of the summer, there isn't 1,000 things to do.
Six.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The six, baby.
The six.
The six,
right?
baby.
The six, baby.
The six.
The six. Shout out Drake.
Yeah, shout out Drake. We love you, Drake. All right, so let's go back a little bit. Because you're talking about the film festival and Colbert and stuff like that. Well, Colbert is another piece of the news because the writer's strike is over. We kind of talked about that, so we won't go too deep into that.
We got to clap it up, though. We got to clap it up for it.
They did great,
and the writers getting what they deserve.
Yes, yeah.
And I think that's what's the most important about all of this. And like I said, I went to something today about the film festival, and there are writers there who are trying to become something, and talking to some of them and just their relief on their face when they were talking to me about like what they went through. You know, I had a guy who was a writer for Jimmy Kimmel, and he was there, and he was just so relieved because he was like, now I will get credited everywhere I go. Like it's much bigger than them getting paid money. I think that's the big thing.
Yeah, it was,
and that's what he was telling me.
It was about they got paid nothing, and they didn't get any credit for anything.
They didn't get any credit, and he's like, now I can actually be happy with what I'm writing, because he was like, before then he was like, I just wrote stuff and I liked it, but I knew I would never get anybody coming up to me to say, oh, I loved what you wrote.
Yeah,
I loved it, because these studios just buried them, and they'd be like, all right, write us something more.
Yeah,
and they just turned into pretty much machines.
Yeah,
they were machines.
And then they really wanted to turn them into machines because they wanted to replace them all with an AI robot. So that was a big part of it.
There's a short film at the Montclair Film Festival this year about AI in the movie and TV business, and it's about the what it will do to the business, like the downfall of the movie and TV film industry if they go the AI way. And I want to go see that.
I think it's going to be an excellent one. I think going the AI way would make everything very, very much the same, very predictable, and very boring because there's no human element to it.
Yeah, it's that I was talking about this at work. I was like, you're going to lose the human emotion.
Yeah.
You're going to lose that emotion in writing if you go straight AI.
Well,
and it's the same thing, even if you don't write and you do what they were saying, where they like get your face and they put it onto a screen. Still, then even an extra in the background of a movie, a show, their emotion will be taken out of that show.
Yeah.
And you won't see anything.
The writing part of it, this is where I think the human element will be gone. Now the AI scanning stuff, that's for another day, because that's a way deeper.
Yeah.
Way deeper. But the AI writing, I say the human element would be taken out of it, because an AI machine isn't going to have its own opinion. And yes, a lot of stuff, they say everything is a copy of something. There's only what's the Shakespeare thing, or what do people say? There's like only 3 original stories. Everything else is just a play off of that, or whatever it is. Like, but if you did AI, they're going to create the stories based on previous stories, and that's it. So like everything you're going to see is going to be a repeat of something that's already happened, because that's all it can do, is just regurgitate what it's already seen. That's what I mean. Like, you're going to lose the human element, because there's no, well, we should do something like this, but change it to be something like that. It's going to be like, well, I went through 17 million movies and this is the best ending you can have. And then maybe you have an AI that writes the most unbelievable movie ever seen. Like, they're not gonna be able to do it again because they took all this information to make that one movie. So there's a
I
lot
think
there.
Yeah.
There's a lot there, and I think it could be crazy.
I personally think what you're talking about, the human element, I think specifically a few things. One is like nuance.
Yeah.
Personally, like there won't be nuances like your take on my experience. Like what is like you know how you can watch shows and you see what everything is through one person's eyes, and then you see all like the cultural references and all of that stuff, and it makes you like understand like that person on a deeper level. I don't think AI could do that. And
No.
then also, I what was I was watching something from the early 2000s. I forgot what show it was. And I was watching a YouTube video actually about the like remember back in the early 2000s, late 90s, when all the animes had the American theme songs, they Americanized their theme songs.
Yeah.
And so like stuff like that we wouldn't do. Like even though it seems very corny and kind of out of touch now, but like back then, bro, you could not tell me, like even now, that Digimon song slaps. I would rather hear the Americanized version. The Yu Yu Hakusho,
Yeah.
the Yu Yu Hakusho was fire, fire. So was bro, don't get me started on Pokemon. Pokemon should just
Yeah.
have his own album, bro, by
Yeah.
itself.
But
Honestly,
do you
So,
they
like the
should.
American or the Japanese version of it better?
oh, the American, bro. What? The
American.
Shout out
Yeah.
Jason Page, mad props.
Jason Page.
Dog,
Jason Page took that to another level.
dog.
He did. He
I
crushed it.
sung every note on that thing, bro. Like I was the dude. My mom thought I used to howl at the moon because of that song. Like my mom's like, "Boy, is you howling at the moon?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm just talking about I'm trying to catch them all." So like
Yeah.
but yeah, I feel you. It's like stuff like that, and then like a lot of satirical pieces wouldn't hit as hard, just because there's not that little bit of, and this is gonna sound horrible. There's not that little bit of like human like bias in it to where make like South Park would not be a thing, just because you need a human who has some sort of bias and some sort of just like
Yeah.
discrimination a little bit on a little dirty joke in them in order to pull something like that off. To me,
Yeah.
if AI did something, it would be Family Guy in the last 4 or 5 seasons. That's what AI would end up doing for me.
No,
for
it'd be
satirical.
more like The Simpsons in the last 10 seasons, like just
Yeah.
regurgitating the same
Yeah.
thing for each episode, just to continuously put
for
out
sure.
new things.
Right.
I also think this would affect, and I think before the writer's strike happened and the actor strike happened, we got to see a lot more international actors
Mhm.
and writers, and we got to see a different taste of storytelling because of that. And if we have the AI doing that, we're not going to get that. And we just started to get it. We literally just started, like, I don't know why we were so, like, Hollywood was so late to the game for it, but they were getting more of those in. We saw that in the last Oscars. We saw it in the last Emmys. We see these international writers, actors, and directors getting their spotlight that they deserve. And if we go into the AI side of it, we won't see that. We won't,
Yeah.
because it's a completely different take
Mhm.
from any writer, director, or actor that would have that is from America.
Yeah.
It's just a completely different. It's a different world. So having that, it's like we need to keep the AI away from movies and TV so we can let these international directors and writers and producers get their spotlight they deserve
And
now.
Personally,
and
I
we
think
have, because that's part of the agreement.
I
Go,
think
go.
that the AI should stay away from anything creative. Personally,
Mhm.
like this is just me. And what's weird is my mom was a computer person, but like what's funny is, and I know we might end up being on some. This might be a thing me and Matt might talk about later on. We might get canceled. Um, We got to bring that back.
Oh, we need one. We need one more.
Yeah,
We need
a few
many more.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like my mom used to talk about because my mom used to be a computer person. She worked for the government, all that stuff, and so she used to always talk about. She used to be like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love computers doing stuff for me, but once they start taking away humans, that's when all this computer stuff ain't gonna be so funny no more. And like,
That's when Skynet starts to take over.
like for real. And I
Yeah.
used to be like, I used to look at my mom like, shut up, tinfoil hat, go about your day. Right? Like, I used to always say that to my mom. I used to be like, boy, your tinfoil hat something strong. I inherited that thing. But like, just seeing how it is now and just thinking about some of those conversations prior is just like, it's amazing. Like my mom used to say the same thing about the cloud. She's like, oh, the cloud is very convenient. She said, until your whole life is on that cloud, and then all I got to do is hop from cloud to cloud. She said, bro, I'm from the old school. All this new school stuff, easy. All I got to do is type in one little code and it's there, because y'all are used to electronics doing everything. Y'all not used to humans. She's like, humans' brains is different than a computer. She said, we're the first computer. She said, so how are you going to overwrite the original programming? You can't. So, and she's like, she said, most of the time, if you're getting a convenience, it's for a fee. It's for something. She said, if you think it's free, it ain't for free. They're getting something off of you. So, like, I feel the same way
I think that's
with the AI.
I think that's more relevant today than it was probably when your mom was talking about it, to be honest.
This is like
Yeah.
everything's coming to a fee. Like, if you didn't know, just a little side note, like BMW and Mercedes,
I seen that.
in about 2 years, they will have subscriptions for if you want to have heated seats. So every time, if you want heated seats, it will be available in your car. But if you want to use it, you need to pay a monthly subscription to use it.
I'd love to see how long that lasts.
Not
Love
that long.
to see
Like,
it.
and I like, my boss told me about it, and I looked it up, and it's so true. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
I do not doubt that's true.
You mean that I'm gonna be on base on the lowest car that Mercedes and BMW has? That's, let's say it's 65,000, the lowest of the car. I'm gonna pay $65,000 to ride in this car, and then I'm gonna need a subscription to use the things in the car. Are you freaking kidding me?
I mean,
like,
Yeah.
and I don't doubt that they're gonna roll it out and try it. Like, I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to do that. And it's like, why the hell would you do this? And I know exactly what the answer is. Like, I asked why in my head, but I know the answer. It's people will pay for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
money.
we
Straight up.
We don't have a society that will be like, no, I won't pay for that. It's like, there's too much of a bigger part of the society that'll be like, yeah, I'll pay for it, whatever, fuck it.
Oh, I got the money.
Like,
Well, you're right and you're wrong. There will be everyone will say, no, I won't pay for it for like a year. And then winter will roll around and think, damn, this seat's kind of cold. What's $15.99 a month?
Exactly. Like, okay, just like look at, like, Disney did the same thing. I'll keep it cartoons since we're still here. Like Disney and Hulu did the same thing. That joint was like $12. Now that thing finna be 20 in like
no, you're actually way off base here. When Disney Plus first came out, it was $4.99.
Yeah,
dang, I forgot it was that low.
Yeah, it was very cheap. Maybe even $3.99. It was very cheap.
It was cheaper if you got the Hulu ESPN bundle.
It was, and that's why I got it.
It was like $3 a month.
It was something,
and now
stupid
it's like
easy.
15. Now it's like,
and now
crazy.
they don't even pretty much stick by their bundle.
They don't.
So like all the other ones like ESPN and Hulu and Disney Plus are all raising their prices, and it doesn't stay within the bundle anymore.
No.
So it doesn't matter if you got the bundle. All the prices will be varied between
Well,
all of them.
basically, if you want to learn more about all this, I think we just talked about it on like the last episode or 2 episodes ago, where we talked about
Oh yeah, we
Disney
did.
and Apple and all that.
Sorry.
This is literally what that's coming from, is all that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
we have a very deep dive in it. But I do want to say something because of Disney Plus. The Toy Story game happened. The
Yes,
Toy
it did.
Story
Yes.
game happened. Shift a
Yes,
little
it did.
bit.
Yep.
I watched
Gotta
the
look
first half. Matt, you said you were kind of in and out when you were going around the house, and Kyle, you saw a
Yeah.
little bit of it as well after
a little
in
bit.
between meetings.
Yeah, like
So-
it. Okay, I saw some of it. I saw a little bit on Instagram, and then like a little bit through other people's stories. Because I got a
Mhm.
few homegirls who got kids, so they were like it was. I was looking at their story, and they was talking about how like, oh, my son is really into this. He's learning about football. I really like it. And then like all the parents was in love with it. And then I seen
Yeah.
like some of the stuff where like they were placing the ball with the crane, like they had the little stats with Andy's room. Like, I mean, for some of the stuff I seen, now don't get me wrong, I had a little stake in this game, you know what I'm saying? I love my Falcons, but they sorry. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like
I called Desmond Ritter interceptions, by the way. I hope everybody listening put money on that, because I did call that last.
Bro.
Yeah.
First off, Schnabel, this is gonna be like the 4th time you broken my football heart, by the way. You know that, right? Okay. All right. I'm still slightly upset from 2017. We ain't gonna talk about it.
You should be, honestly.
We ain't gonna talk about it.
Well, I wanted to just make a comment where you said you saw on Instagram some of your homegirls were saying that their kids really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I could see Kyle texting being like, "I didn't know you had a kid. What is this
coming
from?"
Hey, you want me to do this? There was like 2 of them. I was like,
you freaking liar.
Yo, for real? I had to go look. There's like 2 of them where I was like, you can't have no kid. Oh, you got a kid. Like I was like, and one was like married, all that joint. I was like, when did this happen? I watch your story every day, boo, trying to see if I see the block one more time. What are you talking about? I'm on your stories every day. When did you get a man and a kid? But yeah, like watching it, but seeing some of it, I'm gonna go watch like the full thing. If I can stomach watching my Falcons being sorry again, I'm gonna go watch it. I'm probably gonna go watch the full thing in its entirety so I can get a real opinion.
Watch the highlights. Watch the highlights.
Yeah, if you watch the highlights, you'll
understand. So what I would say,
you do not have to watch the whole thing.
What I would say is there's unlimited potential on it, but it just to me didn't hit that. I have a full list. I when I sat there, I actually I was taking notes on what I think. And that was like kind of my overall takeaway was like, there's a lot of potential on this, and they did a lot of things pretty well. But it just didn't, there was just too much that went wrong. Like, and we can all, anybody that's watched it can agree, it was so glitchy. It was way too, and I don't even mean the players. Like we understood the players are going to be based on the hockey one, but like there were times they didn't even show the game, or they would go to a commercial for like 10 minutes because they just couldn't get the broadcast to work correctly.
Yeah.
Which is fine with kids because they have short attention spans anyway. But I will say before, I'll throw it to Matt in a second, then we can come back and I could say a couple more things. But the biggest thing to me, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I just didn't think, I don't know who the play-by-play was, but I know it's Booger McFarlane on the color. I just don't think they understood the assignment. Like they went from acting like they were on Monday Night Football again, talking about in depth, to being like, an offsides is when you go to the other side of the line. And it's like they would talk at this highest level of football and then talk like Sandra Bullock to Michael Orr in The Blind Side. Like there was no in between. Like they really did not give you an in between. And it's just like, they need
shout out
to
Michael.
Yeah, shout out to Michael Orr. They're going through some stuff. Him and the Tuies.
Well, he got the judge said that he doesn't have to be part of the conservative anymore. So he's
perfect.
He's done. He can get all the money now.
Well,
I wish
about 10 years too late.
Like
Yeah.
Nate Burleson was
Nate Burleson was
great.
great. Yeah, he was. He was
I
amazing.
thought
He
because
was
me
really good.
personally, I like the energy he brings. Like he's kind of whimsical in the way he does things on TV anyway. So I don't know
Yeah.
why they would like Booger
Well, because he's
McFarland is
not.
hard for me to watch.
He's with Viacom, so that's out.
Oh
Like
yeah,
Yeah.
that's out.
he's not with
That's what
Disney or
ESPN is.
ESPN, so that's already out.
Yeah.
See, I would have had to do. I would have got a new face in there, try to promote somebody else.
Yeah, Booger
That's more.
McFarland. Booger
It's not
McFarland
it.
didn't work on Monday Night Football. Like, why would you bring him back for the kids version? It makes no
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, it's like I
would you?
didn't like
Yeah.
Booger McFarland because I used to be like, dog, just because you was a decent defensive tackle don't mean you're a good commentator. Bye.
Yeah, I
'Cause
was
I
not a
hate
fan
his
of him
take.
either. Yeah, I
hate
was not a
his
fan
take.
of him either.
You know who I would have did if I'm ESPN? I would have got the NFL Live people. I would have got either Dan Orlovsky, Swagoo, Mina
Well,
Kunis.
that's the thing. They were on the regular broadcast because it was on ESPN. So, like, Chris
Yeah,
Fowler was the play-by-play for the regular. Orlovsky was on, and I don't remember the third. I think it was all of them though. They were on the regular broadcast. So this was like the Z team that was on this one.
Yeah, I would have put them on that one because they're a little more lively. Like, especially
but there's not going to be as much of the viewership. Like, you have to still put the A team on the main ship. You know, like you're not going to have the best captain do the rowboat. You're going to have them do the tugboat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think with the way that you said, like they were explaining the game and they were talking about the rules and all of that, I think the better person, in my opinion, would have been Tony Romo, to be honest.
Yeah, but again,
Tony would have been really, really good. I know he's on which one?
He's Viacom. He's CBS.
He's Viacom.
Yeah, he's CBS.
CBS. But I think even during the games I watch, I enjoy listening to Tony Romo. Like, I hated him when he played for the Cowboys, but I enjoy listening to his commentary during games because thank you. He really knows the game so well, and he's very articulate. Like, that's the thing. Like, he really can be articulate and fun at the same time. I think that would have been best.
Yeah.
And, like, look, I thought it was good for what we got. I agree. That's what it is. It was good for what we got. But, yes, I think, when they were sending out, like, the day before, they were showing all these promotional things with
the photos. Yeah.
Woody, jumping over Buzz and all of this. The thing to me was, if you want to do this right, especially with Pixar, especially with Toy Story, we were talking about this, Schnabel. You wait a year and you try to get this right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you were right. They did this too quickly. I think we would see Buzz, we would see Woody, we would see Bo Peep, we would see all these famous characters that we all love, but they wouldn't say anything, like because they couldn't get the voice actors for it,
or at least somebody close enough. Because, like, in the shorts, it's not Tim Allen and Tom Hanks. It's someone else, and they couldn't even get them.
It's someone else, and they couldn't get them, or they could have, like, literally now, they can take all of the language that they use, the recordings of through the whole Toy Story catalog. They can take that out and put it into like dialogue.
That's when you do AI. The voiceover AI.
And,
that's what you do to voiceover
AI.
That's
what they just fought to not have, is the voice AI.
Yeah.
That's what that's part of what the strike was about.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, that's what you use the voice AI for.
Yeah,
I think that was one of the.
And then,
you're gonna pay the actors. Why not get them in anyway?
Yeah, like that's what you need to do. You're like, okay, I'm going to do a Pixar football game. Or if we're going to put real money into this, we're going to get the actors and pay them to voice over the game.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool. That's what you need to do. And that would be so much better. And with the whole, like, my biggest takeaway was, like, you could hear the game going on during this, and it was already, like, 2 steps ahead of what was going on when we were watching the Pixar, and that bothered the crap out of me. For a kid, that you probably don't care. But as someone as an adult who loved Toy Story, it was like, this is getting real freaking annoying
Very.
because I already know what happened, and then you saw it again, and you're like, well, the commentators just told you what just freaking happened, and there you go. I think that needs to get a lot better.
Yeah.
In the long run, but I also, with the animation of the players, it was like, okay, we get why you put all visors on the players.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't, your animators couldn't go, okay, we're going to have 5 guys with visors. We'll have 5 guys with no visors. Like they didn't have to have the facial people, like the people in the game. They could have just not had, it's like, we get it. You're trying to just have their names on their back and they're just dolls running around. But you don't have to have the visors on every single guy. Like it just didn't make sense to me. I was like,
it was clearly a clone of each. Like they were all the same clone character
it was just,
with little features.
It made them look like all the same people. And it's just like, even in Toy Story, we didn't have all the same toys.
No.
So it didn't make sense with having all these toys playing the game look exactly the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Like,
agree.
It would like, why didn't you just take like Toy Story toys and make them the different players?
Yeah.
Like you easily could have done that and just put helmets on them and you'd be okay.
They
Like
they
offensive
were
rivalry.
they were comparing everyone to different characters, so why not? Why not?
Yeah, why not? Why?
May as
Yeah,
well.
every single person they talked about, they said, "Oh, well, they're just like
They're just,
so-
Trevor
so."
Lawrence is Woody. Like, it's all right. Then make them Woody. What does it matter?
Yeah, make him Woody. Who
About the
cares?
animation,
You got the rights to it.
I will say, yeah, right. You don't have to pay anything. About the animation. The animation at sometimes looked so good, but it's like the best play of the game was that Trevor Lawrence stepped up in the pocket, rolled out, and threw that touchdown to Calvin Ridley, and it looked so good until the end where the ball wasn't with Calvin Ridley. It was sitting on the ground like he dropped it. And it's like, this is the stuff you need to get worked out before you do this. Because like, if I'm just watching that, which by the way, if you watched it without, we should have, I didn't test this. I don't think any of us tested this. We should have watched it without announcers to see how it is. Because if it's bad like that, then like, okay, it needs some fixing. At least the announcers kind of like can keep you in it a little bit. But it made it look like a drop. And that happened a lot. That happened on almost every completion, that the ball would just drop to the ground and like wouldn't continue with the person. And I bet you it's because whatever they're using to pick up with this technology, probably the second it hits, like if it goes into somebody, like they don't, the capture technology probably doesn't know where the ball is anymore. So it just assumes that it's dead.
Yeah.
And it did it all of the time. Every time there was a completed pass, the ball would stop wherever the person caught it because it didn't know where it was anymore. And like, even if that's going to happen, you need to have someone there as an animator. And the minute it hits and it's completed, just turn it off or something. Like something has to happen there. But I said in the text earlier today, like I didn't want to say too much, but I said like it was half baked. Like they took it out a little too early. Yeah. And that's basically the overall. The potential's off the charts.
Oh, yeah,
the potential's off the charts.
I would have did this during the Super Bowl. Like this is a Super Bowl thing. Like I would have did this.
Yeah,
Disney has to have
season and do it.
Yeah, right. But I'm saying like this is something that you do for the Super Bowl. Like after like processing it and looking at some of the stuff while y'all was talking about it, like this will be that will be really good for the Super Bowl.
But that's Disney or ESPN is getting a Super Bowl soon. So maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're testing it out now. And because they want to get for the Super Bowl, and they have the schmucks like us that they announced it and we all went and watched it. So then they got the streaming, you know what I mean? Like they got the money for it.
Yeah,
so
they got the money for it.
Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're like, all right, well now we're test it out a little more. And then in 2 years or 3 years, whenever they get their first Super Bowl, this is what they'll do. They'll do stuff. They'll have it on ESPN. They'll have it on Disney Plus. They'll have it all these different places and all these different platforms. Don't forget, when they have the Super Bowl, you're gonna have like 6 different iterations of a broadcast because you'll have the official broadcast. You'll probably have a Manning cast. You're gonna probably have this kind of thing. Like you're gonna have a ton of different iterations of the Super Bowl broadcast because ESPN.
That would have even been better if we had Eli and Peyton.
That's what I was thinking. I was going to wait for everybody to be done and say that.
Amazing. That would be
They would have done
amazing.
a
They would have
great
been
job.
great for this.
Yeah,
Yep,
they would
they
have
would
been
have been so
perfect
good.
for this. They would have been perfect for this. And the already on
Yeah.
staff. I was waiting till we were all done
Yeah,
because we were kind of talking about broadcasters, and I was going to say, you know what I think they should have done, blah 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 blah. But you beat
I
me
beat you
to
to
it.
it.
Yeah, you beat me. It's fine because we have the same opinion, and that just shows that both of that opinion is validated because multiple people
Yeah.
in this group had it. You know, like how many other people had it, but they would have been perfect
They
for it.
would.
Absolutely
They would have
perfect
been
for it.
perfect for it. And like that would have been a lot of fun to listen to. Also, because both of them are dads, their
Mhm.
fathers. So they know that their kids are going to be watching this
Well-
at home. So like that's gonna be something that they're gonna take into effect where they've probably watched these Toy Story Disney movies over
1,000 times.
1,000 times by
Yeah.
now. So they know all the characters, they know what's going on, they know what they're putting into this.
But yes, that's a great point of why it would be. But you know what? Also, I was thinking, and this is I didn't think about the human side of it at all. I literally just thought about the ESPN side of it. We're talking about how they could have had all the different characters on and stuff like that. That's what the Manning cast is. It's them two talking and then having guests on. So like whatever. I don't think I've ever actually watched a full Manning cast before, but like I'm gonna say they probably do it in 10-minute like things or something like that. So let's say they do. So for 10 minutes, you have Woody on. For 5 minutes, you have Woody on. Like they did on Nickelodeon when they had the segment with Patrick Star on. Like that's already what they do. Like you wouldn't be changing anything. You'd just be talking down a little bit.
But that's also where they need to get the voice actors.
Yeah.
Like that's where they need to have like Tom Hanks. They need to have all of these guys come in and say their piece about the game.
Yeah.
And it would be amazing. And you think about it, in Toy Story's movies, you only have like a core of guys. You don't need every voice actor. Like you need the big.
No, you
like,
would need Tim Allen. You need Tom Hanks. You need probably whoever does Bo Peep, right?
Yep,
you need Ham.
You need the new person.
You need
the
Rex.
new person who does Ham.
And Mr. Potato Head.
Mr. Potato Head, yeah, 100%.
But Mr. Potato Head with Mrs. Potato Head.
Yeah, it has to be both of them. Like, those are the ones you have to do.
And then like even though Slink was doing the first down yardage, like you still have him.
Why wasn't he the sideline reporter?
Yeah,
he's on the sideline. He's literally on the sideline. It would have been cut to his face and he's talking.
Hilarious and being like talking and then being like, hold on, and then backing his back up.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, hold on, I got to do this. Hold on, I got to move.
I thought that was amazing. That was a great feature having Slinky be the marker
and the drop down of the
crane,
the claw,
crane.
The claw.
But it would have been better. The claw. It would have been better if you had all the aliens people just saying the claw every time it came.
Yeah,
and
you say that would have been better until halfway through the second quarter, and they're going the claw, the claw. And you're like, all right, mute.
I wouldn't mute it. I wouldn't. I love that shit.
Okay, I will say. Let me just say with the Slinky, it was great. But every time they have the technical difficulties, so they just cut to the broadcasters, and Slinky was behind them. You couldn't see the game. Like you could see the game behind. But when Slinky was on him, you couldn't see what was going on because it was so big and like.
Well, one of my big gripes is that like you have the whole field. And you have all the players running around. You didn't have all the toys watching the game.
Yeah, that was a huge thing.
It was just an empty room with these players playing, and then there were no players on the side of the field. If you watch, when a player would come up, they would disappear, and reappear. They would disappear, like they were getting warped, like in fucking Star Trek.
Yeah,
like, it was just like, why not have both of them, and then have all of the toys sitting in the different areas of the room.
I agree, 100% agree. And you know what? It doesn't even have to be the same toys from Toy Story. It could be any toys you want. Take all the Disney characters, make them toys, and put it out there. Whatever you want to do. But like,
exactly,
it
would have been hilarious if you had the army men like in one section and they were like the rowdiest, like they were the and they were just bouncing back and forth because they can't move their feet forward or back, and they're bouncing, they're going crazy.
Why couldn't it? Could have been the army men, the monkeys. It could have been a toy that has a lot of them. You know what I mean? Like it didn't have to be all the separate ones. If you didn't want to do all the different
No, if you
creations,
had the monkeys and the army men, you would have
you
a
would
whole full.
you would have a full,
you would have
full
a
thing,
full,
or at least half of
yeah,
it. Like at least the
yeah,
half that you'd see. Like yeah, that was a
yeah.
big thing for me as well. And one more thing that I thought this is a positive because we've obviously pointed out a lot of the flaws in it because that's what you're going to do, right? To improve.
Right.
Logan Cook was all for it. He was all in. Every time they
Yeah.
went, dude, they went to him more than any other player. Like I said, I only saw the first half, so I don't know the second half went. Anytime there was
No, they were
anything with
going
a
to him in the
player,
second half.
anytime there was anything
Yeah.
with a player, he was all in. He was the only, like everyone else was cool with it. They're like, oh yeah, you know, Slinky has the first down. Yeah, this is. I think there was Trevor Lawrence, and he's like, look, he's like, yeah, that's about 10 yards. Like, it was pretty funny, but like anytime anything happened, dude, he was all in on the entire thing. He was so happy with it, but.
I'm telling you, they need to start listening to Sketching Up because
Yeah.
my idea of Andy's mom walking in and them all dropping to the floor would have made it.
Or dropping
100 times
Desmond
better.
Ritter after his second interception.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or,
man,
I don't
yo,
wanna
do you know
play
how
with
many of
you
those memes I've
anymore.
seen where it says like Atlanta fans doing this to Desmond Ritter? I don't want to play with you anymore. Yo, like for real, you know what they should?
That started here. That started here on this
Episode 97.
podcast.
Sketching Up.
Episode 97. I said it, and it started here. They got to take a book. They got to take a page out of the Sketching Up book.
Yeah.
Here's what I say will be a fun add-on, even though it's not a so fun topic. If somebody gets injured, that's when you bring in and you say the claw, and you have one of the you got the soldier. It's like if you got one of the green men that's hanging on one of them, he picks him up like he's in the army, and they just fly off with the crane. Oh my, with the claw, that would be like I would be like.
Or they have the fire engine come out and all the guys hop out of it, grab him, and then
bring it
go
up.
in, and then just go off.
That would be.
I am glad you brought that up because I think I said it. Maybe I have it in my notes. I don't know if I said it in the group text. They cut very, very quickly after every play. There was no chance that there was going to be any injury, anything, no scuffles, nothing afterwards was going to be shown. Like the minute the play ended, they cut to some like little cut, like short video or something like that. Every single time.
It was mostly the guy
carrying the thing out.
Type into, the guy they typed into. I forget who they called.
It would say like Duval, or it would say go.
Yeah, and hashtag whatever Duval and stuff, and they would just cut to that guy.
Yeah, and they did it all the time. Or the soldiers carrying the thing that said like touchdown or something like that.
Yeah.
And there's two other things. One, they did a lot of those cut scenes, and then they would show the full field, and none of them were anywhere to be seen. Which it's like if you're gonna do the cut scenes, put them somewhere. They repeated a lot of the cut scenes, which was a little like, what are we doing? Third thing was they promised when there was a sack, we would see an awesome sack dance. And I was thinking they had some sort of animation, like a Madden cut to thing that they weren't even going to actually take his sack dance. They were just going to have him do like something made up. And they didn't. Like they didn't even cut to show him do the sack dance. They cut to a cut scene saying sack.
I thought they were going to do what they gave us in the promotional videos of like maybe Woody sacking Buzz. Or
like I thought something was going to happen.
That would have been so awesome. And it was just like a weird dance, and then that was it.
Yeah, it was very strange. But overall, I think we all agree, a lot of potential. Wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad, but it definitely needed some buildup. I am going to make an executive decision. But you go ahead, say what you're going to say, then I'll say this executive decision.
Oh, I was just saying, I don't need to see Buzz bounce on the ball ever again.
Yeah,
I don't think I'll watch Toy Story ever again. The first one, at least. I can't see him do that because they cut to that way too much.
They cut to things way too much. And like I said, half baked, wasn't fully prepared, but it's good because that's going to be they probably did this so they get the reactions like this on social media, and people then they're going to take it and build from it. But I'm going to make the executive decision and say episode 99, which is the next one. is going to be the animation slump episode. So we're not here for 2.5 hours because there's a lot to say about that. And that
Yeah,
I feel like it needs a
is.
whole thing of its own, which is fine. That's great. It's just another episode that you
Yeah,
already know what's
yeah.
coming. So it's great. You know,
You know it's coming.
it's coming on that. But that was episode 98 of Sketching Up. It's crazy how many episodes we've already done, and we're just going to keep going. Episode 100's coming up. I'm so excited. We have a great gimmick for episode 100 that's coming up. So I'm excited to be able to do that and go with that. But this was episode 98 of Sketching Up. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Remember to follow, like, subscribe on Instagram and YouTube. On Instagram, we are Sketching Up Podcast. On YouTube, you look up Schnabel Studios, you'll find Sketching Up, you'll find Mad Props, you'll find Southern Hospitality, you'll find Offstage, you'll find a bunch of other videos as well. All that stuff. Search Schnabel Studios, go subscribe to it, hit the bell if you want to get it every single time that we have a new video come out. There's a lot of stuff coming out now. It's, Southern Hospitality is going once a month. Mad Props is going every 2 weeks. Sketching Up is literally every week. So if you want to stay updated fully, make sure you do that. You can also follow Schnabel Studios anywhere you get your social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, again, YouTube. Go follow us on all of that so you can stay as up to date as possible, see all the clips, see all the updates and all that stuff. That's where you're going to want to find us. Make sure you go check out the newest Mad Props. Had Mike Kinch, Wicked Hot Golf on. Go check that out. Before that was Jordan Robles, and we have a couple more episodes coming up.
Wicked hot.
It is
I'm gonna
wicked
tell you
hot.
right now. Golf is
Wicked
I
hot.
love the sport, but it makes me so depressed.
Yes, we talk about that in there, so it's definitely a good
It
listen.
makes me hate the life that I'm living
Yeah.
after I'm playing it.
Very,
So,
very
but I go back for more. I was golfing last week. All right. So I'm addicted and it's hard.
That's what happens when you get to that point. You just keep going back, and we talk about that in the pod. So if you want to hear more about stuff like that, Mike Kinch talks about that. Go take a listen to the latest Mad Props. Again, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week here on Sketching Up. See you guys later.